What is an escalation clause? How can it help you? How can it hurt you? That's what we're talking about today. If you're familiar with eBay, then you're going to catch on very quickly what an escalation clause is. If you remember, when you bid on eBay, there was this function where you could set your max amount, and then every time somebody else would bid, you would automatically outbid them up to that max amount. That's exactly what an escalation clause is, but for the purchase of a property. The first thing you're going to do is choose your max amount. So this is going to be the very top dollar that you are willing to pay for the property. Next, you're going to choose your increment above the other offers that you want to be. When choosing your increment, you want to make sure this isn't an insanely high number, but that it is high enough to entice a seller to want to take your escalation clause. So if your offer is written with an escalation clause that you're willing to go $50 over the other offers, that may not entice them to accept your offer. Whereas if your escalation clause is set at $1,500 to $2,000, that is pretty enticing for the seller to be able to get more money for the property. So how does an escalation clause help you? Well, it stops you from having to go all in on an opening bid. So you can bid a lower amount, and this will allow you to only hit that top number if there are other offers that push it up to that number. And when using an escalation clause, the seller does have to show proof of the offer that triggered the escalation clause. So it's just a way of trying to get the house for as less as possible, but still willing to put your best foot forward if you have to. Now, you're probably thinking this is the best thing ever and I should have been doing this all along, but like everything in life, there are pros and there are cons. So we've talked about the pros of an escalation clause. Let's talk about the cons of it. Basically, just to generalize it, when you use an escalation clause, you have shown your entire hand. The seller now knows exactly how much you are willing to pay for the property. Unfortunately, there is no law saying the seller has to use the escalation clause. There is nothing stopping them from just countering your offer at your max amount, throwing the escalation clause out and not having to show proof of anything. So if you get this counter back at your max amount, the ball is then in your court. Either you can take it or you can keep looking. At the end of the day, an escalation clause is another option available to you when writing an offer on a property. Like all the other options available, you need to make informed decisions and be sure that you're making the decisions that are best for you. I'm April with Ingram Associates, aka the Real Estate Nerd. If you want to see more on me, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok under the Real Estate Nerd.